In the year 2167, the demon race finally conquered all human territory. Because of this, the world as we knew it was completely destroyed and wiped out by these creatures. Amidst the chaos emerges Si Chen, humanity's last SSS rank assassin, totally wrecked but still kicking. The story takes us back 7 years, to when several demon kings appeared on Earth out of nowhere. Len Yu, one of these kings, mocks our main character, calling him humanity's great hope and a pathetic piece of trash. From there, he readies an attack, saying that the guy's only purpose now is to become his next meal. A dark, red energy starts to form in the creature's hand. With a wicked smile, Len Yu screams that Si Chen will become his food and, consequently, his power. He unleashes his power to try and absorb and devour our MC once and for all. And just like that, the evil energy begins to consume Si Chen's body, leaving him with no way out. In that moment, Si Chen remembers everyone he lost: his sister, his friends, and his master. He's filled with rage because all those dear to him were taken out by those monsters. Fueled by anger, he decides to use his last ounce of strength to drag Len Yu down to the underworld with him. Our MC activates his ultimate skill, called Terminus Arc, releasing an intense light. Faced with this, the Demon King is completely paralyzed, wondering what in the world is happening. With a smile on his face, Si Chen accepts his fate as the light completely consumes him. In that instant, he recalls everyone he loved: his sister, his master, and his parents. Our MC regrets not being strong enough to protect them in time. He thinks that if he had found the demon's lair sooner, everything could have been different. If he had, maybe he could have stopped the first Demon King from causing so much destruction. That way, he wouldn't have lost everything that mattered to him in such a tragic way. A moment later, everything goes dark, but then, slowly, he begins to wake up, his vision blurry. Our protagonist slowly opens his eyes. He's lying in a small bed inside a room. As he gets up, Si Chen looks at his own hands and is shocked to realize he isn't gone. He starts looking around the room, wondering where he is. Confused, he walks towards the window to try and figure out his location. Outside, he spots a building with a school infirmary sign and several students walking by. Si Chen is confused because the world had been destroyed, and there shouldn't be anyone left alive. After a long time in shock, our protagonist finally accepts his new reality. He finally understands that he has gone back 10 years in time, right back to his college days. Then, a strange sound wave begins to echo around him, making him curious. A system message pops up, saying that the power of gluttony has been successfully integrated. Looking at a device's screen, he confirms the date at May 16, 2157. With that, our MNC is absolutely certain he has traveled back exactly 10 years in time. He realizes this date is 3 years before the first descent of the terrifying Demon Kings. From there, Si Chen remembers that in 3 years, the first Demon King, named Wrath, will appear. It was this monstrous creature that opened the gates of the underworld and kicked off the whole nightmare. Because of him, all the other demons invaded the world one by one, causing total destruction. But now, our protagonist is filled with determination because he's back. He believes that if he defeats the first demon, Wrath, he can prevent the underworld from opening and change everything. The message about the power of gluttony reappears, and he wonders what this interface is. A strange screen has been floating in front of him since the moment he opened his eyes. Tapping on the screen, he sees a bunch of data and information that he can't make sense of. The status window shows his name and attributes, and he questions if this is his current data. Si Chen has never seen anything like it, because in the past he always fought using his awakened power. In this world, only 1 in every 10,000 people can become an awakened with abilities. His university only recruits potential awakeneds, but in his past life he was a total loser. He wonders if that's why he woke up in the infirmary, since he was always getting his butt kicked by everyone. Suddenly, a strange image starts flashing in front of him, catching his attention. The screen shows the details of the Lightning Assassin class, a super fast, electric-type power. Our protagonist recognizes it immediately. This was his class from his past life, and he can feel the power. He wonders in shock if by some chance, he managed to awaken earlier this time. Determined, he prepares to test this new power and switches classes in the floating menu. With that, the power card simply flies out of his hand with a pop and heads towards the door. At that moment, Malong, a guy with glasses and his friend, appears at the door with a shocked look on his face. He runs over and hugs Si Chen, asking if he's okay after everything that happened. Our protagonist says he's fine and confirms that his friend can't see the interface. Mao Long is shocked because the injuries are gone, and he recovered faster than an awakened. While his college roommate talks a mile a minute, Si Chen just stares at him in silence. Si Chen remembers that Mao Long was a weak awakened and met his end on the 3rd day of the invasion. But now, his friend is right there, alive in front of him, and only at this moment does he feel like he's truly back. Suddenly, Malong remembers tomorrow's test and drags our protagonist off to get ready. He says that even though the guy isn't an awakened, the test is still crucial for graduation. So, the two of them leave the infirmary and walk across the huge university campus. Lots of people are around, some training their powers and others just chilling. The place is full of life, with students everywhere using their abilities. Our protagonist comments that it's been a while since he's seen living people, which freaks Malong out. Because of that, his friend gets scared by the weird things he's saying and suggests they take a walk. As they walk, Si Chen thinks about how he's already lost everything once and won't let it happen again. He knows that if he does nothing, that terrible, desperate future will repeat itself soon. Because of this, the guy decides he needs to act immediately and raise his level as quickly as possible. In this era, the only way for an awakened to get stronger is by taking out monsters in demon lairs. The problem is that almost all the lairs are controlled by the big guilds, and no outsiders get in. He wonders how his strength compares to others, and the government classifies ranks from S down to E. At the university, most students are stuck at E rank, and only the geniuses reach D rank. Our protagonist wonders what rank he would get if he took the test with his powers. He looks at his friend and thinks with certainty that he's already much stronger than him at this moment. Out of nowhere, a basketball flies toward them and slams right into Malong's face. Because of that, the poor guy goes straight to the ground with a bloody nose and broken glasses. Sitting on some bleachers, a group of bullies recognizes the two of them on the ground. The group's leader scoffs, saying they recovered pretty quickly from the last time. At this, Malong gets desperate and says they were super unlucky to run into that guy here. Si Chen glares at the group of thugs without a hint of fear in his eyes. The bully smirks at his friends and says he told them those two guys were pretty tough. Then he complains, asking why they didn't bring drinks since they knew he was there. Malong panics and apologizes, saying he'll run and buy drinks for the group right away. But our protagonist stops him and says they're the ones who should be apologizing, not his friend. Just then, Si Chen recognizes the bully, and some dark memories from the past come flooding back. A horrible memory of him being drowned by someone suddenly flashes in his mind. He remembers the bullies holding him with his head in a toilet in a bathroom. Back then, Malong tried to help him but got beat up too for being too weak. The leader of the thugs would mock him, saying he was actually just helping him out. He'd say that since the guy hadn't awakened, he needed a little push to make it happen. And so, the whole group of idiots would burst out laughing while they humiliated him endlessly. After he passed out, the guys left him on the floor and took off because the game wasn't fun anymore. Right after, Malong rushed to help his friend, who was unconscious and soaking wet. With tears in his eyes, our protagonist wondered why they would never leave them alone. Right there, he understood that pure evil didn't just exist in demons but in humans too. With a wicked smile, the bully decided he was going to torment him even more, just for fun. Back in the present, the same guy repeats the same dumb question about the 2 cases of drinks. Malong gets scared and says he'll run and buy everything they asked for right away. But our protagonist stops him once again, saying that they're the ones in the wrong here. The bully leader is confused and speechless at Si Chen's defiant attitude. Terrified and crying, Malong asks what he's doing and why he's saying those things. The bully's name is Gong Ting, an E-rank flower warrior, and he lunges forward with his fists on fire. But our protagonist stares back at him, his red eyes glowing, without any fear. This guy only has the guts to intimidate the weak, because his brother is the student council president. The other students gossip, saying that the 2 biggest losers in school are about to get wrecked again. Gong Ting gets closer to Si Chen, with his green power aura surrounding his body. With a furious look, he leans in and asks what our protagonist just said. Unfazed, Si Chen just replies coldly for him to never bother them again. Annoyed by his audacity, the thug yells that he needs another beatdown and goes on the attack. To everyone's surprise, our protagonist blocks the punch with just one hand. The impact is so strong that Gong Ting is thrown backward, completely off balance. The crowd is in shock, not understanding what just happened right in front of them. Everyone wonders how he managed to block the hit if he hasn't even awakened his powers. Humiliated, the bully gets furious and yells, "How dare a weakling challenge him like that?" Our protagonist smiles and says he's going to use him to test out his new skills. With that, he activates his electric assassin class, and lightning envelops his body, ready for a fight. Ma Long's jaw drops, and he stammers, unable to believe what he's seeing, asking when he awakened. Our protagonist just looks at him with a confident smile, surrounded by yellow lightning. Gong Ting isn't intimidated and activates his indestructible demonic armor for the attack. With his arm looking like a giant rock, he throws a powerful punch at the guy. However, Si Chen dodges with insane speed and prepares his own counter-attack. His electric fist lands square on the bully's face with incredible and precise force. The impact is so strong that the thug is sent flying with just a single blow. The crowd and Malong are in total shock, unable to believe what they just witnessed. On the ground, Gong Ting curses our protagonist and accuses him of a sucker punch. Then he yells at his cronies, asking if they're just going to stand there and watch. But one of his friends is completely terrified and can't even move from fear. After all, Si Chen's aura is so terrifying that no one has the guts to get near him. Even so, Gong Ting gets up, full of hate, and charges, yelling that he's going to finish him. Our protagonist simply grabs the bully's arm without any difficulty. With his hand covered in lightning, he squeezes hard, causing immense pain to the thug. With a look of superiority, Si Chen says the bully is way too weak for him. Then, our protagonist delivers an electric kick to the guy's chin with all his might. The blow is so brutal that it sends the thug flying, knocking him out for good. Gong Ting hits the ground hard, creating a small crater and scaring the crowd. The bully lies there on the ground, all beaten up and unable to even get up after the whooping. Everyone around is frozen by the scene, while Malong remains on his knees in shock. He can't believe it and stammers, wondering when Si Chen got so strong. Our protagonist just stares at his own hand while his friend freaks out about his strength. Analyzing his stats, he comes to a few conclusions about his new situation. The first is that he can activate his electric assassin form whenever he wants. The second is that his base form is already enough to defeat E-level awakenings. Even with all this power, our protagonist realizes there's another problem. He defeated Gong Ting, but his stats in the system didn't change one bit. He then creates a lightning dagger, wondering what he needs to do to level up. Seeing this, the crowd panics and Ma Long yells, asking what he plans to do now. With that, our protagonist points the lightning blade at the bully's neck, terrifying him. He then wonders if the way to gain experience is still the same as in the past. So, the guy prepares to end the thug's life right then and there, without mercy. Suddenly, a mysterious woman appears and says that this is a school after all. This is Ling Yu, the vice president of the student council, and she says the punishment has been enough. With a smile, she assures Gong Ting that the guy won't dare lay another finger on him. Faced with this situation, our protagonist dispels the blade and stares at the bully on the ground, all beaten up. Si Chen questions if the council is so eager to protect a guy like that. He explains that if people like that aren't completely intimidated, they'll never stop being a pain. The bully's cronies get terrified and decide never to provoke our protagonist again. As they back away, the other students still see them as the biggest losers in school. After watching the scene for a while, Ling Yu just turns her back and decides to leave. Later that night, back in the men's dorm, the chaos continues in a different way. Maui Long tries to convince the others that Si Chen awakened as a super strong electric assassin. He yells that his friend literally humiliated Gong Ting, and now their gang is scared to death of him. One of the roommates, Xiang Zuo, an E-rank core mage, doubts everything and asks where he is. He flicks Ma Long and yells that if the guy is so strong, it makes no sense for him to be out for a run. The other roommate, Xiang Yu, a flower enchanter, says Ma Long must have hit his head hard. He then explains that the four of them are in the same dorm, because they're the worst students of the entire year. Because of this, he brags about being the strongest in the room, since he's the only one from the combat class. He yells that this is a fact no one can change, and that he's the best one there. The guy shows off, saying Si Chen is too weak to be an assassin and that he's the one getting strong. But the other roommate says that tomorrow's test will clear everything up once and for all. Meanwhile, in an E-ranked demon lair, training is proceeding as usual. There is Gong Ting, the student council president and the older brother of the bully, Gong Ting. With the training finished, he and his group prepare to leave the dark place. But before leaving, he notices someone is waiting for him at the lair's exit. It was his brother Gong Ting, all bandaged up, and Gong Ting asks why he's still there. Full of hatred, the bully demands that his brother handle this because Si Chen disrespected him in front of everyone. With a cold look and without hesitation, the council president just replies that he got the message. With a serious expression, Gong Ting assures his brother that he will take care of it personally. Elsewhere, a young man and Ling Yu are having dinner at a luxurious and elegant restaurant. She asks how he plans to handle the situation since his brother just got a nasty beatdown. The young man doubts the story and questions if Si Chen is really as strong as the kid says. Ling Yu explains that fewer than 10 students in the school have reached D rank, and he has recruited all of them. Furthermore, she reminds him that the other students don't have the same access to demon lairs. Because of this, average awakens have no way to level up, and no one can catch up to him. Meanwhile, our protagonist is running in the rain with 100 kilograms of weight for 20 kilometers. Basic physical training is crucial because an awaken's limit is tied to their strength. Even with all this effort, he knows he's still far from being enough for his plan. He remembers that in the year 2160, the demon king Wrath left the lair and attacked the world. On that terrible day, his only relative, his sister, perished at the hands of that merciless creature. It was this same demon who opened the gates of the underworld, allowing other kings to enter. Therefore, our protagonist's objective for his first stage is crystal clear. With a look full of determination, he defines his main mission to take down the demon wrath. That's why he knows he needs to surpass the demon's growth over the next 3 years. As he thinks about this, his cell phone suddenly starts vibrating in his pocket. When he takes out the device, he sees it's his sister, Si Chen, returning the call he made. With a heavy heart, he answers the call and puts in his earbud to listen to her. On the other end of the line, his sister asks why he called so much and explains that her phone died. She excitedly tells him that if she wins a prize, it will solve their rent problem. Si Chen finds his silence strange and asks why he isn't saying anything on the other end. With a smile on his face, he replies that it's nothing, even if it costs him everything he has. With tears streaming down his face, he says it's been way too long since he heard her voice. She doesn't understand and says goodbye, telling him she'll bring good news soon. After hanging up, our protagonist understands that now, everything has truly started over. With that, he goes back to running with even more grit to protect everything he loves. 8 hours after returning to this era, he finally gets back to the dorm exhausted. In the shower, he thinks that he's adapting to his younger body with less physical strength. Right after having showered, he decides to think about the most critical issue of his plan. He reflects that to level up, he needs to enter the lairs, but the big guilds monopolize everything. This way, the weaker and poorer have no chance to level up, and he wonders how he'll find monsters. Our protagonist also questions that gluttony power and what exactly it is. Suddenly, the gluttony system starts to initialize right in front of him and is fully activated. From there, his consciousness is pulled into a strange place, and he starts falling into an abyss. Our protagonist plummets at high speed towards a dark, red energy. A moment later, he lands in an unknown place with a giant, terrifying tower. Confused, he wonders where he is, since he was sleeping just a second ago. Looking to his side, our protagonist spots 2 strange, shapeless creatures approaching. Soon, a horde of E-rank death hounds appears, and they all seem to be cloud warriors. Faced with the situation, he wonders if he ended up in a lair and switches his class to fight. With that, the class change is complete, and he decides to solve the immediate problem first. Using his electric speed, Si Chen quickly charges at the monstrous creatures. With a precise strike, he cuts one of the monsters in half without any difficulty. After defeating the creature, a notification pops up saying he obtained 3 death forests. With his current strength, he continues to fight the monsters non-stop. He realizes that dealing with these E-rank monsters is a piece of cake for him. Seeing the experience points, he's sure this isn't a dream. And most importantly, he can finally gain experience and level up. From then on, all his stats increased by 5 points at once. He's excited because now he has a demon lair all to himself for training. Suddenly, a huge wolf with red eyes appears before him like a boss. With this, our protagonist decides to use this place to truly test his limits. The boss charges head-on, but Si Chen dodges and counter-attacks with his lightning. After defeating the monster, he levels up to level 3 and gets several items. He's shocked to have leveled up twice in such a short time. But as he looks at the monster's body, a strange red message appears. The message says the creature's body is devourable, and he's confused. Not understanding, the guy wonders what exactly devourable means. With that, he extends his hand towards the monster to see what happens. With a bright light shining from his hand, he wonders if this is the power of gluttony. From there, the monster's body disintegrates and is completely absorbed by Si Chen. Right after, an intense energy begins to powerfully manifest in his hand. At the end of the process, the monster turns into a card, and he's shocked by the result. He realizes he can devour his enemies and transform them into his own classes. Our protagonist's eyes go wide with the discovery of this new power. At that moment, he remembers a very familiar and frightening scene from his past. Si Chen recognizes that this is the exact power the Demon King Len Yu used against him. The power of gluttony belonged to the Demon King, but our protagonist stole it for himself. In this world, each person can only have one class with its own strengths and weaknesses. But now Si Chen has broken that rule and possesses 2 classes at the same time. From there, he thinks that if he can devour other monsters, he'll have more powers. With a determined look, he realizes he could have infinite classes if he keeps going. Even though he's excited, our protagonist wonders why he obtained such an absurd power. And besides that, he questions what exactly that demonic tower behind him is. Suddenly, an insane amount of energy throws our protagonist backward without warning. He feels an intense pressure and wonders what the heck is happening in this place. A mysterious voice says that he has finally arrived and that it has been waiting for him for a long time. The sinister creature then reveals its form and calls Si Chen directly by his name. The government classifies awakenings and monsters by combat power from E rank to S rank. With no time to think, the creature attacks, and our protagonist is thrown back again. He remembers that in his past life, he almost perished to reach S rank, but now he's only D rank. However, the monster in front of him is an S rank boss, and the power difference is huge. He wonders what kind of lair this is, with an S rank monster showing up out of nowhere. On top of that, Si Chen is shocked because the creature knows his name, and he doesn't understand how. During the fight, they exchange dozens of blows, but the creature has had several chances to finish him. Even so, the creature attacks him again with absurd force, knocking him back. But all the attacks misses vital points, just knocking him down over and over. With a superior look, the monster asks if our protagonist is still going to keep fighting. All beaten up on the ground, Si Chen finally understands that the monster wants him to surrender. The monster says he'd better reconsider and invites him to guard the tower as an opportunity. But with a look full of hatred, our protagonist replies that he'll never stay in this hellhole. Faced with his refusal, the creature attacks him with its energy blade, severely injuring his shoulder. The blow is brutal, and the guy is shocked by the pain and the amount of blood gushing out. The beast asks if he thinks it won't take him out, and says it was only patient because he's the only one there. With a threatening gaze, the creature begins to emanate its purple energy over the bodies of the monsters. With its power overflowing, it asks one last time while increasing its strength and resistance. From there, the monster gives an ultimatum: either the guy stays and obeys, or he will be completely crushed. Even in the worst situation, Si Chen doesn't give in, and with lightning surrounding him, he prepares his answer with a smile. He then yells with all his might that he chooses to fight and wipe out the creature right then and there. The hooded being just laughs, calling him ridiculous, and prepares to end the fight once and for all. Our protagonist doesn't back down and charges forward, his lightning clashing against the enemy's purple energy. Surprisingly, he manages to block the monster's powerful weapon using only one hand. With a focused look, he reveals that he managed to figure out the enemy's pattern during their battle. He noticed that before each strike, the creature has a small opening of 0.4 seconds. With this opening, he can predict the blade's path and dodge the blow with precision. And most importantly, after attacking, the creature has a delay of 0.2 seconds. Thus, our protagonist decides to aim for this opening while the monster is defenseless. With his lightning blade, he lunges forward and manages to pierce the creature's heart in an instant. Even though a D rank can't take out an S rank, the paralysis from the blow will hold it for a few seconds. With no time to waste, he activates the Thunder God ability and increases his speed by 10 times. For our protagonist, these few seconds of paralysis are more than enough to escape. During the fight, he observed the area and saw that the only source of light was his chance to get out. With that, he runs towards this light and extends his hand to try and pass through it. But as he passes through the light, he realizes it just vanished behind him out of nowhere. The monster reveals that it was an illusion and that the place is not a demon lair. Even so, the creature praises him for finding the flaws in its attacks so quickly. Then, the beast transforms and says that the guy is the only one who can bring hope. Si Chen is in shock because he's seen that appearance before on the Demon King Len Yu himself. The creature says that even in despair, he analyzes and risks everything for a sliver of hope. The being reveals that Len Yu was strong because in the final battle, he used several different classes. In an instant, the Demon King became an ice creature with the power to freeze everything. Right after, he took the form of a giant ice dragon, dominating the skies with his presence. Then he transformed into a fire beast with simply devastating attack power. From there, he turned into a plant monster with poisonous vines to trap his enemies. And finally, he used a holy light form that was just as powerful as all the others. Our protagonist vividly remembers all those forms the demon used in the fight. And one of those appearances was exactly the same as the creature standing before him now. The being confirms that this is the appearance it had when it was defeated and sealed inside here. With this, Si Chen wonders if he was devoured by the Demon King Len Yu's gluttony power. And since that power is now in his body, he questions if this whole place is inside him. The creature praises his mental strength and says he has proven himself worthy of everything this place holds. Our protagonist is confused and asks what exactly everything this place holds means. The monster then reveals the Void Key, an SS rank item to open the demonic tower. He explains that Len Yu devoured countless demons and sealed the strongest ones inside that tower. The creature tells Si Chen to devour the demons to get stronger and use them as his fuel. Our protagonist holds the key and, not understanding a thing, asks why the monster is helping him. The being explains that even among demons, there is good and evil, and the Demon Kings wiped out its people. It says it waited an eternity for revenge, and our protagonist is its only chance to get it. Si Chen is confused and questions who exactly the creature is talking about at that moment. The monster points to the tower and says that all the answers are hidden inside for him to find. From there, the creature begins to fade away and tells the guy to take its power and make them pay dearly. Our protagonist is shocked and wonders if he should really take that monster's power. The being yells that from that moment on, Si Chen must become unstoppable and devour everything in the tower. It warns that the demons inside won't make it easy, as they are the cruelest beings in existence. Because of this, our protagonist needs to endure everything and conquer them all to reach the top of the world. He must keep fighting until he finally manages to devour all the demon kings, one by one. As it completely disappears, the creature says that only a man with that kind of goal, and with that kind of unwavering determination to achieve what he desires most in the end, is worthy of receiving all its power. And with that, the being vanishes, leaving our protagonist alone. With that, a purple energy enters Si Chen's hand, and a loading bar appears in front of him. In this way, he jumps straight to level 10 and gets 2 demonic swords as a reward. With a determined look, our protagonist accepts his mission and swears to carry on the monster's will. Soon, the system confirms that he has devoured the beast and obtained the Star Warrior class with new skills. The morning sunlight starts to stream through the room's window, heralding a new day for everyone. Suddenly, a voice yells for everyone to wake up as it's time to get up and get ready. Our protagonist wakes up a bit startled and sits up in bed, not quite understanding what happened. His roommates yell for him to hurry up, and Si Chen finally realizes he's back in the dorm. He looks at his own body and sees that his injuries are gone, wondering if it was all a dream. But his system pops up right away, proving that it was all real and that the loot from the dream came with him. He's shocked because he jumped to level 10 in a single night and wonders what his current rank is. At that moment, Xiangyu approaches the bed to speak directly with our protagonist. He scoffs, saying someone said some pretty weird things about him last night. In the background, Malong looks embarrassed because he was the one who spread the story to the other roommates. Xiangyu yells that he's trying to take his spot as the strongest in the dorm. With a challenging look, he says the rank test will show what Si Chen is really made of. As the group walks to the testing location, Xiangyu eats a snack to prepare. He brags that they are all low E rank, but he's the only mid-E rank in the dorm. The guy explains that the power difference is huge, and that he could take down 10 of them at once. From there, he continues to brag and says that maybe his rank even went up in the last test. Mai Long ignores the guy and tells our protagonist to aim for D rank and shut that idiot up. With a thoughtful look, Si Chen just reflects on the idea of reaching D rank at that moment. As they walk through the courtyard, they spot another group of students approaching them. Xiangyu, all excited, yells and waves to get the attention of the group coming their way. When they arrive at the testing location, they realize that everyone is already there, well before the scheduled time. Suddenly, Gong Cheng's goons appear, pushing everyone around, and Xiangyu gets startled. The white-haired goon glares at them with a threatening look, and our protagonist decides to move away. To everyone's despair, the bullies start looking directly in their group's direction, but Si Chen simply walks past them unfazed by the thug's presence. With that, the 2 goons freeze in fear and stammer the guy's name. Suddenly, the 2 goons bow in fear and call our protagonist Big Brother. Xiangyu is in shock and wonders why they are treating Si Chen with so much respect. Our protagonist walks past them while the 2 continue to bow as a sign of total respect. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls out to our protagonist, who glares back with his red eyes. This is Jiang Jian, a student council officer, and he asks about the incident with Gong Cheng. He approaches and reminds him that the bully is the younger brother of the student council president, Gong Ting. The roommates are terrified because they immediately recognize Jiang Jian from the student council. They panic because the guy is the president's lapdog and a strong D rank awakened. With a mocking smile, Jiang Jian says he has a sharp sense of smell and can smell strong people. But he gets closer and says that from our protagonist, he only smells a pathetic loser. Unfazed, our protagonist just stares at him and asks if he's some kind of dog. With that, Jiang Jin gets completely furious and yells, asking what he just said. But suddenly, another mysterious voice appears and tells Jiang Jian to stop the commotion. It was Gong Ting, the council president, and he says he has already investigated everything and his brother was in the wrong. He turns and says it's fair to pay the price for doing something wrong, and with that, the guy leaves. Gong Ting just stares at Si Chen with a serious and thoughtful look for a long time. With the same intensity, our protagonist stares back at him without breaking eye contact. Suddenly, the rank test begins, and a teacher explains that everyone will be called up. Gong Ting leaves with Jiang Jian, saying that Si Chen doesn't seem to be a major threat. From afar, a mysterious blonde woman watches the whole ceremony from a high window. Someone asks why she's there, and if she has found any students worth watching. With a smile on her face, she just replies that this test is going to be very interesting to watch. An hour later, the assessment finally begins, and the next to be called is Shang Zuo. With a determined look, he prepares to show his true strength to everyone. He then walks towards a testing booth to begin his power assessment. The test needs to be done individually inside a training demon lair. Inside there is a demonic heart that is capable of absorbing the student's energy. So, the awakened needs to release all their energy in front of that heart. With that, Shangzuo fires a blast of power with all his might at the device. The heart then transmits the sensed energy to external equipment through cables. From there, the external machine begins to process all the energy that was released by the student. Finally, the energy is displayed on the screen as data, and Shangzuo reaches mid-E rank. The teacher confirms the result but wonders why the other piece of data hasn't appeared on the screen yet. Mai Long gets all anxious and says that now comes the main event of the power test. Besides the current grade, the test can also measure the maximum potential a student can reach. People with high potential receive attention from the state, and his potential is classified as C. Disappointed, Shangzu leaves the test because in 2 years he hasn't improved at all and wanted to reach D rank. As the next student is called, his friends console him, saying they are even weaker, and indeed their results are worse, with Shang Yu and Malong getting low E rank. Suddenly a new result appears, and the trio is completely shocked by what they see. To everyone's surprise, the first D rank of the year appears, and the crowd goes wild. Sometime later another student achieves D rank, but with an even higher A potential. Seeing this, the three friends are completely devastated as it's already the 8th D rank of the day. The teachers are impressed, because usually only 2 or 3 students reach this level. With all the tests almost over, the teacher prepares to call the next and final student, and the last one to be called is none other than Gong Ting, the student council president. With that, the crowd goes wild, because it's finally the turn of the young master of the Imperial Guild. Everyone calls him the chosen one with countless titles, while our protagonist just watches from a distance. People comment that he was already D rank 2 years ago and wonder what level he'll reach now. Inside the testing room, the demonic heart prepares to receive the power of the approaching young man. From there, the council president approaches the device to begin his power assessment. He thinks that for now, he needs to hold back a bit of his power to cause a big surprise later. Even so, he believes he will be number 1 in the school's history with his current power. A moment later, the machine starts processing the data, and the result begins to appear on the screen. The teacher is shocked because the color of the energy he released is completely different from the others. To everyone's surprise, Gong Ting reaches high D rank with an absolutely insane S potential. The crowd screams in shock, as no one expected a high D rank and an S rank potential there. Jiang Jian and his friends celebrate, yelling that he's the first in the school's history to achieve this. Mao Long's jaw drops as they just witnessed history being made right in front of them. The teachers confirm the result and decide to immediately report the achievement to their superiors. The crowd goes wild because an awakened with S potential is a rare treasure protected by the state. Moreover, being the son of the Imperial Guild's leader, his result will become national news. From a distance, the mysterious duo comments that this year's test is revealing many talents at once. This is Yuan Long, the university's director, and he asks if she already knew about Gong Ting's potential. But the mysterious woman replies no, and that she didn't come all this way just to see him in action. With a smile, she reveals that compared to him, she's more excited about another student's performance. From there, the camera focuses directly on our protagonist, who watches everything with a serious look. And finally, the teacher announces the next and last to be tested, who is Si Chen himself. With that, Jiangjin approaches and yells for our protagonist to bring some honor to his dorm. He scoffs, saying that if all 4 of them are trash, their dorm will be the biggest joke in the university. The guy continues, saying that a bunch of weaklings like them would only bring disgrace to the whole school. But Malong can't take it and yells back at that idiot to just wait and see the result. He screams with all his might that Si Chen is going to blow all their minds with his power. Seeing the scene, Shang Yu and the others get worried and wonder what's going to happen now. Inside the lair, our protagonist gets into position and prepares to unleash all his power. Inside the booth, the demonic heart prepares to measure our protagonist's energy. Si Chen reflects that for an awakened to have a future, the only way is to join a high-rank guild. And the only chance to prove their worth to these guilds is in the graduation combat assessment. The squad that comes in first place will have its members recruited by the powerful Imperial Guild. Thus, this test isn't just to determine everyone's rank but has a greater purpose. Meanwhile, Jiang Jin introduces Yanlin, a new D-rank recruit, to Gong Ting's group. He brags that with the 9 D ranks of the year in Gongcheng, victory is pretty much in the bag for them. So, the true purpose of the test is to recruit the best for the final graduation assessment. But just as a strong team is formed, a team of weaklings also emerges as a result. Mao Long gets worried and wonders how long Si Chen has been inside that testing booth. He finds it strange because there's no movement, and the results screen remains completely blank. The other students mock that his power is so pathetic the machine can't even register it and decide to leave. Jiang Jian says that the ones left are trash, and since the squad is full, they can leave now. With that, Gong Ting agrees and tells him to call the rest of the team so they can finally get out of there. But suddenly the screen lights up and the result shocks everyone as Si Chen is a high-level D rank. His dorm mates and the other students are left with their jaws on the floor, unable to believe the result. With that, Malong celebrates, yelling that he told everyone his friend was strong, and he was right. On the other side, Gong Ting and Jiang Jian are in shock, as they didn't expect a high-level D rank. But suddenly, the system detects an instability and asks the candidate to retake the test. Our protagonist understands that his base stats at level 10 are equivalent to a high D rank. From there, he decides to test another power and starts the class change process right there. With the change complete, he activates the Infernal Death King, his weakest devoured class. Suddenly, the screen starts flashing and his rank changes from D to a mid-level C on the spot. His friends freak out again and wonder what's happening, because his rank jumped again. Jiang Jian yells that this is impossible and that the testing machine is definitely broken. The teachers are in a panic because they've never seen the rank change and think the system has failed. The system detects instability again, and the demonic heart starts to sweat from so much power. So, our protagonist decides to use his other classes to see the final result. He then activates the Purgatory Rakshasa to finally unleash the extent of his power. With that, the demonic heart is terrified and looks like it's about to explode with so much energy. Suddenly, a dark purple energy covers the entire sky, terrifying everyone. Gong Ting and the others look up and wonder what the heck is happening. His friends say that this is an omen and that history is being rewritten today. They realize that their dorm has given birth to a god-level monster at that moment. The potential screen starts to glitch and displays a completely distorted golden S. The teachers yell in shock, wondering if that's another S-rank potential. Gong Ting is speechless and completely paralyzed by what he's seeing in front of him. A danger warning starts flashing on the screen, making everyone even more tense and confused. A moment later, the warning changes to a system error, and the machine starts shaking uncontrollably. The screen then reveals an SSS and says the value has exceeded the system's maximum load. With that, one of the students completely panics and starts screaming desperately. From there, the testing machine simply explodes into 1,000 pieces with a loud bang. The teachers yell that the demonic heart overloaded and rush to the scene. They run into the testing booth and ask if the student inside is okay. But as the teacher gets closer, his jaw drops, and he's left speechless by what he sees. Inside, he finds the demonic heart completely destroyed and lifeless on the floor. The other teacher wonders if the machine simply burned out from being overused today. Our protagonist thinks he overdid it and ended up taking out the heart by accident. But with this, he discovers that his gluttony power can even devour the core of a machine. And so, our protagonist walks out of the testing booth perfectly fine, without a scratch. He then decides to activate his new ability to test what it can really do. With the new power, he can now see the true rank of everyone around him. With this, he realizes that this ability is extremely convenient for his future plans. He looks at Gong Ting and discovers that the guy was also hiding his real strength. With the machine broken, the teachers are forced to suspend the test because of the accident. They declare that Si Chen's data was an error and anyone who wasn't tested must come back tomorrow. But Malong and the others celebrate, saying that no matter what they say, our protagonist is a genius. Suddenly, Jiangjin appears, yelling how a loser like him could reach C rank. He accuses him of breaking the machine and says that because of him, the student council will have to wait. At this, our protagonist gets annoyed, and lightning starts to form in his hand, ready for a fight. Seeing the guy's attitude, our protagonist wonders if he should just cripple him for good. But Gong Ting stops him and tells him not to be disrespectful to his new teammate. Jiang Jian is completely shocked and doesn't understand what the president just said. With a smile, Gong Ting invites Si Chen to join his squad for the assessment. He guarantees that the highest score in history will be theirs if they fight together in the test. On the other side, Malong and the others are flabbergasted by the personal invitation from the president. One of the team guys gets upset because if he joins, someone will have to be kicked off the team. The thug questions what right he has to join when others couldn't even get in with bribes. Seeing that the president himself spoke, he knows he doesn't have much choice but to accept. With that, Jiangjin swallows his pride and, with a forced smile, welcomes the new member. But to everyone's surprise, our protagonist simply refuses the invitation on the spot. Jiangjian is completely paralyzed and speechless at the guy's bold attitude. Even Gong Ting is surprised by the refusal and stares at our protagonist seriously. Annoyed, Jiang Jin yells that their team is the strongest, but Si Chen says he doesn't care. With a cold look, our protagonist warns them to never bother him again and turns his back. With that, Jiang Jian is left fuming with rage while our protagonist and his friend walk away. The crowd is in shock, wondering how Si Chen had the guts to turn down the student council president. Some students speculate that he wants first place for himself, but now everyone is expecting some good drama. From a distance, his roommates laugh at the bullies' faces and think Si Chen was very brave. But Gong Ting calms his lackey and says it's okay, as the guy seems to have his own plans. From there, the students begin to disperse across the university courtyard after the test ends. Director Yuan Long regrets that the two didn't form a team, as he was hoping for a new school record. However, the mysterious woman smiles and says that with this twist, things have become much more interesting. She explains that for someone like Gong Ting, that refusal was a clear declaration of war. At the same time, one of the council guys warns that their president isn't someone to mess with. Jiang Jian is still angry and says the guy is just full of himself because of an error in the power test. But Gong Ting wonders if the test wasn't wrong and swears that no one will take his first place. One of his goons offers to teach Si Chen a lesson for being just an inexperienced newbie. Faced with the situation, Gong Ting glares at him and asks if he looks like a petty person, and the guy backs down. Because of this, he dismisses the team, saying he's not in the mood and leaves alone. With a dark look, Gong Ting says that whatever he does has nothing to do with him. From there, the goon is a bit confused but soon understands his boss's message. With a wicked smile, he confirms that he understood and that the president has nothing to do with it. 10 minutes later, a guy informs Jiang Jian that our protagonist is no longer at school. The guy explains that he heard Si Chen say he was going home and left campus without even eating. And so Jiang Jin crushes a soda can and thinks that fate is on his side. With a sinister smile, he realizes that outside of school, he can deal with the guy without any problems. Meanwhile, our protagonist is walking calmly, unaware of the thug's plan to get him. He continues on his way down the street near the university while thinking about his own plans. He remembers that in the past, an elite guild found a powerful demon in a lair. The creature was called Wrath, and with a single attack, it wiped out the entire team at once. From that day on, the monster left the lair and began to destroy the human world. To find this creature's lair, our protagonist has finally come up with a foolproof plan. But to put his plan into action, he needs a large amount of money first. So, he goes to the Mithril Monster Exchange, the largest materials center of the future. He knows that weapons and equipment are crucial for an awakened, and that place is his best shot. From there, our protagonist dumps a bunch of monster fangs on the counter to sell. The appraiser at the place is in shock and asks how a mere student got an item like that. Si Chen calmly replies that a monster dropped it, and the guy is confused because he's never seen it before. But a female employee recognizes it immediately and says it's a Sangsun Fang from an E-rank monster. While the woman explains the item's uses, the appraiser cuts her off saying an E-rank item is useless. He brags that he only deals with D-rank items and above, so he's under no obligation to know about junk. In his thoughts, the guy complains that the good clients have disappeared, and his promotion is a long way off. Because of this, he decides it's not worth his time and resolves to pass the job to the newbie. So, he tells the girl to take care of everything and simply turns his back to leave. A moment later, the woman hands over a briefcase with the money and asks if our protagonist needs anything else. Seeing that he got 18,000, he thinks that this cash is enough to handle the rent for now. With the first part taken care of, he says he has one more thing, and his hand begins to glow. From there, Si Chen summons a giant demonic sword with a very sinister and powerful purple aura. The employee's jaw drops, and she is completely shocked by the incredible weapon in front of her. The woman believes that even without ever having seen the weapon, it must be at least B rank, or maybe even A rank. But the appraiser comes back, scoffing that A rank weapons cost $1 million and that he's never seen one in his life. Suddenly, a man with blue hair appears and agrees that the weapon is not B rank, let alone A rank. With that, the appraiser sucks up to the boss and says that a poor student wouldn't have anything of value. But the boss reveals that the sword is an S-rank piece of equipment from the Purgatory lands, shocking everyone. And so, the pair is paralyzed with shock and the appraiser yells in disbelief. The boss enthusiastically shakes Si Chen's hand and welcomes him as a very special guest. A moment later, he invites him to the VIP room and says that any of his requests will be handled immediately. With a smirk, our protagonist thinks that the man finally showed up, just as he planned. It turns out that man's name is Chung Jai, and he is a key piece in Si Chen's plans.